Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the entree musician, and so are you. And so is this wonderful young lady we are going to have a great conversation with today. You know what I really appreciate about doing this podcast? I appreciate the opportunity to interview entree musicians who are just starting out in their career, just releasing their first EP. I am grateful to be able to talk to icons, Grammy Award winners. But you know what's really special is to talk to someone who is an icon, who has worked at the top and the upper echelons of the music industry, yet they take the opportunity to reach back and to help others. And this is the young lady we're talking to today. I'm going to do a little bit of name dropping because although she came from humble beginnings, she's worked with the legendary Rolling Stones, Sting, Black Eyed Peas, Britney Spears, Pitbull, Christina Aguilera. I could go on and on and on, but it's my pleasure to have this conversation with the wonderful Karin Whang. Karin, how are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
I am
Great.
humbled that with the schedule that I know you keep, that you would sit down with fellow entree musicians. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, the pleasure is all mine for sure.
Well, we're going to have a great conversation. It's not going to be a traditional interview. I promise you that. And the way I want to start, Karin, is I don't want to start from the beginning. I've done some homework on your humble beginnings, and I do want to get into it. But I want to actually begin at the end. And I want to begin the conversation like this. When the history books are all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah, my legacy, I will say to me, and I hope to many people in the world, legacy is important.
Hmm.
What do you want to be remembered by? What do you want to be remembered for? How does that affect how you're going to live your life today and working
Yeah.
backwards towards that? For me, my company's name is Purposely Famous. And I think it's very important to have purpose first for yourself. And if you're willing to step into the spotlight and use that for the greater good, I know it's not always easy to do,
Right.
but you can use your purpose to change the world. And you
Mm.
need, lots of tools and support and guidance to do that. But I want to help as many people as I can have access and a better chance of achieving their biggest dreams.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. That's an incredible legacy. So let's just dig in a little deeper with the company that you form, Purposely Famous. How would you explain it? Is it coaching? Is it consulting? Is it representation? Or is it all of it?
Yeah, so it's definitely a combination of a bit of talent managing slash coaching. My background, I started as a celebrity talent agent and manager. I've been a producer. I've kind of done everything in the world as far related to just talent, musicians, public figures, influencers. But I really have loved working with the kind of up and coming people, the people who know that they have something in them, but maybe they're not there yet. And I come from very humble beginnings, growing up in a small town, and then when I started to work with all these fancy people and traveling around the world, I realized that wow, they have an advantage because they have access to different information or people that can help them build this career and make that money to make that impact.
Mhm.
And so I put everything that I know into like online courses and coaching. I have an amazing network of people in the industry as well that love giving back also. And we're just here to kind of, answer any questions that anyone has and give the right information on how to make a bigger impact, how to build that audience. Because there's a lot of stuff out there that sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. And I don't like it, the not helpful. That's a lot of time, money, and energy to get the wrong information.
Wow.
So yeah, I really want to set the record straight as much as I can.
I understand that and appreciate it as well. I want to also ask, what do you think to date, since you've been in the industry for some time, what do you think is the most important lesson that you've learned to date about the music industry or Hollywood in general that you take and implement in your daily life?
Yeah, I think it's really about knowing yourself, and what you stand for first,
Mm,
having very strong core values and letting that guide your life and your work. So, like, there's someone like me who helps people become famous and
mhm,
build that influence. But also, if you're on the stage, the music industry, probably you and many people in your audience know, it's a tough world. It's
mhm,
cutthroat. It is sink or swim. So if you don't know who you are,
mm.
and know, how to stand up for yourself and have this moral compass of, what's wrong or right, you'll get eaten up. And I have
Wow.
been eaten up before. That's why I ended up doing this year of meditation and silence before, to find my purpose.
Yeah.
So now I always put that first, and you never go wrong if you have your core values as kind of like the foundation to build your life upon and your career.
That's absolutely amazing. And since you brought it up, I definitely am interested in that year. Can you walk us through that story? You said a year of silence. Can you bring that to fore?
Yeah, well, yes, it's a lot. I mean, I was, grew up in a small town and then started working in the music industry right after I graduated from college.
Mhm,
So, bringing in the first DJs, to Mexico, Korea, Hong Kong, Asia, Latin America, um, lots of concerts, lots of fun, lots of parties. And this one day I woke up, I'm like, this is amazing on the outside, all this, fun and this fancy stuff. And I was like, I feel really empty on the inside.
mm,
So I didn't necessarily know I would end up shaving my head and not talking for a year, but it kind of turned out that way. And, a year was kind of enough for me to feel like, okay, I know my purpose again. I need to work on my mindset. I would never sit still. So it's so much more about mindset and, um, the belief I have in myself, not so much what I do. And
mhm,
also, the problem wasn't the world either. I mean, the world's going to be amazing and tough at any time, but if
mhm.
I make myself stronger, and then I can do anything that I absolutely want.
So when you say solitary silence, you mean it. You didn't utter one word.
I say like 99% of the time 'cause it's really hard. Not, I mean, it was a full year. I don't know. There's a lot I can't. Um, I don't. I mean, I remember, but I really did my best to keep that year of silence. But I'd say 99% to give myself a little. I swore under my breath a lot because I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, wow, I'm freaking crazy. But yeah, it was very, very strict. You are not
Mhm.
allowed to talk to anybody, and you wake up every day at 3:30 in the morning. You're only allowed to sleep 4 hours at night. It's a very small, confined space where you do the same thing every day: sit or walk. That's it.
So so I'm going to ask a couple more questions because I'm really very interested in then how do you spend that time? Are you in meditation? Are you in prayer? Are you what are you thinking to yourself as you're walking through this process? What's happening and how are you being transformed through this?
So they recommend, I mean, loosely, because it's not like there's a clock, right? Every day is the same. But they recommend you maybe walking for an hour very, very slow, and then like sitting for an hour.
Hmm.
So my legs fall asleep after 15 minutes. So it's just really hard. Like my whole half of my body goes numb. So I just did the best that I could.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much all you do. You sit or you walk. And then when you are moving, you move very, very, very slow just to be in the present moment. And
Yeah.
then when you sit, you also just gotta observe the mind, and that's it. Every single day is the exact same thing. There's no variation at all.
Hmm. And how were you when you came back into from you? This was a monastery, and so when you left the monastery after the year was over and you came back into Hollywood, what do you find about yourself that changed? You were empty when you left to go to the monastery. What changed, or what was the most fulfilling part of that experience?
So when I got there, I was really burned out, and then I'd say it took like 6 months of just inner turmoil and fighting myself before I kinda had a breakthrough in the monastery to be at peace and be in a flow. And then by the end of the year, I was in a, like, complete flow, like sleeping
Mm.
4 hours a night, no problem. I really didn't wanna leave, but I knew there were some problems with my family in Korea. And then I got thrown right back into the music industry in Korea because they needed DJs. And I was like, I'm never going to work in that again. And Then I ended up like booking DJs, like bringing in like Tiesto and some of the first DJs ever to Korea for the next couple years. And it was not a pleasant integration. I'll be honest. Like I felt very powerful, but it's very different sitting in isolation and then applying that to the real world. I will admit I did not apply it very well because it was just so fast paced all of a sudden too. So I feel like the lessons of that year, I'm still learning in some way. So it's taken a while to unwind and adapt what I've learned to, when you're working or when you're running around. Because I mean, I don't know. I know some people, or maybe we all know people who are very spiritual, or they can do the yoga, they can sit there. But if you're getting still very stressed, or you're very angry in your job or at your family, like what's the point there? I think it's important to find that application point between the two. So that's when I teach meditation now, I focus on that, applying it in the real world. So when I teach meditation now, we'll like go sit in a busy, loud street on the sidewalk, and then I'm like meditate, because that's the real world. It's very easy when you sit and do nothing in a quiet place, but that's not really reality. That's not the world that we live in, because we're generally quite busy, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You have this wonderful video on YouTube, which shows you meditating in these various environments, and so what was the purpose of that? I found that to be very enjoyable and very curious for me personally. But what was the purpose in putting that video out? What were you trying to explain?
Yeah, just to show that you can be, I mean, whether it's meditation, it's awareness in some way, or in, the flow of what's going on. You can do that anytime, anywhere, doing anything. And I truly believe that's possible. So, sit in the middle of the street, sit on a boat, whatever, you can find that inner peace. And yeah, I want people to know that. It really shouldn't be a separation, like, okay, now I'm meditating and now I'm working. Like I admit now I don't meditate that much. I'm kind of in a flow now. I meditate Sunday through Thursday night. So I know the next day I have to be focused, because I do sleep better. Like I sit and I let all the thoughts like run themselves out, and then I lay down and I sleep. But on weekends I don't, because I just like to, I don't know, make my life really hard sometimes, like be unfocused and not have to do something. So now I've found a balance of that. But yeah, it really should be more of a 24-hour thing. Like I can generally tell now, okay, how am I feeling? How am I reacting? If I'm angry, I'll know I'm angry. And maybe I'm not trying to even eliminate the anger, but I'm aware of it. I'm not letting it control me. So sometimes you just have to let your emotions do what they need to do, because we're not trying to be perfect, right? But it's when we can't control or manage our emotions, that's when they take us over, and then we do stupid stuff.
I understand. I am very much a man of prayer, and in the Bible it says pray without ceasing. So in many different situations, it doesn't matter whether I'm in a meeting, whether I'm in a recording session, whether I'm preparing for a performance, there is a prayer that's always going up, because I want to make sure that I'm taking thoughts captive, that I'm aware of the situation, that I'm aware of the people that I'm working with or presenting to. And so I get it. I don't call it meditation. I was really very, very curious about it, because I'm a learner. I'm a constant learner. And so for me, it's not necessarily sitting silently. I can be on the go, but I saw you in your video in the middle of the street on the boat, and I thought, babysitting even, and I thought,
yes,
there you are.
Yeah, but whether you call it prayer or whatever, each person calls it, it's just, being more aware and conscious, and taking control of your emotions in some positive way too.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I definitely appreciate it. I said when I saw the video, I thought that's very cool. I'm definitely going to ask Karin about that, But let's talk about these humble beginnings that we're kind of like grasping at. But I want you to envelop that. I saw your story. You're very transparent on your website. By the way, you can go to KarinWhang.com. You can go to Inspire Millions, but also Purposely Famous is this company that you have formed. But coming from the childhood and the experiences of being in Idaho, you've got to tell that story. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I was adopted from Korea, so I was a baby when I left Korea at 6 months old, and then was adopted into a wonderful family in, in Idaho. I have five siblings. We're all adopted, so all six of us are adopted. Wonderful parents to do that. But it was a very small town, so we're the only weird family, being from different nationalities. So I just never really fit in. Um, and I think maybe stemming from my adoption, the abandonment issues, the rejection, and all of that really felt like I had to overdo things, work harder, study harder, all of that to feel fulfilled or get acceptance from other people. It was right after college where started working in the music industry. That was a bit random as well. And then I just kind of went with it, and it was just go time. A lot of things were going on. I was in Mexico City at the time. There was this huge festival. We were doing the first huge festival that Mexico ever had. And it was just do everything, from, the public relations, to the promotion, to the contracts, to the deals, to the actual promotion, promotions, getting the people there, taking care of the talent. And because I was, overseas, I was trained with great people also living overseas that already knew the industry. So in Mexico, when I started as the lowest peon on the list, this little secretary running around getting everyone their coffee to, by the time I got to Korea, I was running my own talent agency and kind of got the hang of things. And then after that, I switched to be I guess in a coach format, to help more people that are still working on building their career. And I would say for like anybody who has this purpose and they want to share it in a bigger way, really focus on yourself, knowing yourself as the foundation. But I think with a lot of the business advice out there these days, you got to build your own audience too. Like take charge of, who you're helping and making that connection in some way. And it's very competitive out there, but there's way more opportunities in the music world, whether you work in the industry or you're a musician. But I would really suggest that anybody kind of takes things into your own hands versus just, waiting for someone else to make it happen for you, because you're the one that's going to be the most passionate about yourself and your skill set.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Now, are you a musician yourself? Do you sing or play
Oh,
any
no.
instruments? So,
I used to play piano. Yeah, one day I'll do that again for myself.
but you took piano lessons then earlier?
Yeah. Yep.
Ah,
Yep.
excellent. So, what
Yeah.
have you learned about musicians not being a musician? What's your perspective on us crazies?
I know. Yeah, it's funny because right now I'm helping out with a TV show too, and I'm just like, man, I would never. Don't quote me on that one day if I end up. I'm like, gosh, I gotta walk my walk and talk my talk. I'm like, dang, I gotta learn how to speak out sometimes too. Not easy, not easy for me at all. I'm better at training people on how to be good on camera versus actually doing it myself. But yeah, I think I don't help people that want to be famous just to be famous, right? Don't do it for the superficial reasons. But if you really feel like you have a story or a skill or a talent or a life lesson that's helped you and that can help other people, by all means, please, get the right help, get the right strategies, study how all this works so that you can maybe be on that stage and sharing that. Because if you had something that changed your life, it will absolutely help someone else too. So it's worth it. It's not easy. Say in this journey, if you're on a stage in front of an audience, one of the biggest benefits you'll get is your own personal development. It's going to push your character. It's going to push you out of your comfort zone. That is so valuable. It's just as valuable as money or the accolades from other people.
Absolutely. What have you learned with working with some of the biggest stars that are out there? What were you able, I guess it's a double-sided question, what were you able to share with them, although they have this mega platform, and what were you able to learn from both the triumphs and the challenges of their careers? And you don't have to necessarily drop any names with regard to that, but just in general with the litany of artists that you've worked with.
Yeah, every big artist started from nothing, started somewhere, like literally one super fan, two super fan, three super fans. So what I see a lot of people getting caught up in is, the social media posts were like, okay, I post this and everyone's going to come follow me and, buy everything that I sell. That's not true. They've been working on that for years, and there's a lot of strategy and probably just plans and implementation behind it. So definitely start small. You have to inspire a few people before you can get to millions. And don't worry so much about the social media following until you have a real following of people that will follow you no matter where you go.
Yes.
And then you can kind of, multiply that later on. But you need this small group of super fans first that you need to kind of over deliver to, and they'll stay with you. And I mean, the best example in the world of following is, let's say, the Bible, Jesus in some way. I mean, the 12 disciples, like that's a great example of Billy following. It was
Absolutely.
12 people before he can go to, millions around the world. It's the same with every, singer, writer, performer in some way. It was a small group of people. Because I see a lot of people so frustrated with like, oh, I need to do all the social media. I need to do all these things. I'm like, no, not really. It's human to human
Yeah.
at one time. So definitely start small. And then I just realized, people at that high level now, they do have access to a lot of information and people that keep them at the top. So I'm like, well, how can everybody else that doesn't have that access get that? So that's why I love to bring in, my network of good-hearted people that are willing to talk to, just everybody that kind of wants to get in that game. Because without that right information or access to the people, it's going to be really hard.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Is there a, this may seem like a naive question, but is there, we talk about gatekeepers. Is there really an intentional effort from those in Hollywood to not want to give access to others to the information that they've acquired because of their own egos or status? Or am I asking that question correctly? I mean, is there a concerted effort that this is for us four and no more,
I think there used to be, yes. Back in the day, there was, mostly Michael Jackson and Madonna. I mean, there was a time where it was really, the two main ones. But now it's like you can go on YouTube and make your own channel and following and everything, or you can go on a show, American Idol. You can go, there's so many more ways to build that.
Yeah.
And people are sharing that information because it does feel good to give back, even people in the industry. So I think some of it, people will try and keep secret, but if you really want the information, there's a lot of people sharing how it all works as well. And I love that it's kind of democratizing the system of fame and impact. And yeah, that's kind of what I really want to do. I just want to share everything I know with as many people as possible. Because I believe it's not just from the fame perspective. I mean, it's the whole world of feeling equality of self-worth. Maybe it's finances at some point, money,
Sure.
but self-worth, because you see someone on a stage and we think, wow, are they more valuable than me because they're there and they have this following? They're not,
Yeah.
but you have more credibility when you are on that stage and people do listen to you. Things get done faster. Maybe you want to do philanthropy or charity. If there's someone there who has that following versus you who don't, they will get more opportunities just because they've proven their credibility in some way.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's worth, going on this journey, no matter what you want to do or your background, if you want to make a bigger impact in some way.
Well, I guess the other side of that question will be, the democratization aspect of many more voices being out there and able to do their thing. However, do you feel that then so many voices are really drowning out what is real talent? And by that, I mean, everybody sets up a YouTube channel, everybody sets up their own platform. Great, but the people who are really the jewels, does cream still rise to the top organically and naturally, or are they drowned out by 100,000 other singer-songwriters like themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think in today's world, the influencer space is a good example of this. I mean, they say right now there's like what 40 million influencers in the world, which is a decent number, right? So that means you have maybe at least probably ideally 10,000 or more followers. That's kind of a lower level, lower amount of people. Like you need probably more like a couple 100,000 followers to start getting paid like brand deals. And then of course, like 500,000 millions is better just for the
Yeah,
business side of things. And there's a lot of people sharing a lot of garbage, just gonna be honest. It's not great quality. It
sure.
doesn't look good, doesn't sound good, doesn't make you feel good. And they might get famous. But at the end of the day, it's about, I just say focus on you and your journey
Mm,
and what you want to be known for, not what other people are doing. And, those people who are doing something that's not that great, but they go viral in some way. I
yeah,
mean, maybe they have something else to learn.
yeah,
I think they'll come
yeah,
around at some point, or they're going to get out of the game, and then there's going to be space for you. So don't worry about what other people are doing, but just make your content really, really good and make
yeah.
sure it resonates with a specific audience. And just that's really all that matters.
You know, Karen, if we were in the same room, I would hug you. That is an excellent,
Virtual hug.
excellent answer. Absolutely. Don't be concerned about the noise around you. Definitely be concerned about what you're sharing, what's in your spirit, and what you're here to express. I think that's
Yeah,
absolutely excellent.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So, as we round the bend toward our third, so to speak, I'm very curious to know, and this is a double sided question as well, what has been your greatest victory in what you do, and what have you found to be most challenging in what you do?
My greatest victory is probably developing myself
Hmm.
because I got thrown into this world, very fast-paced world, and I had never really known what it means to personally develop myself or improve myself. I didn't even know what mindset was until I sat down in that monastery, and I'd been in the music business for a few years already. And now being able to handle very busy, very chaotic situations, I didn't handle that well in the past.
Mm,
I would yell at people. I would cry. Like I would just be a bit of a mess
mm,
around everybody else who was also a mess. That's my point. But now I can kind of be the voice of reason,
mhm.
and I can be around chaos and still be like chilled out and peaceful. And
Wow.
I'm still definitely working on that. I think that's um, a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels a little good to know that I can manage and handle my own emotions. So then I can do more, even do more with less stress and more ease. Because I feel like when you're ambitious and you want to live the best life possible, you can't just go sit and do nothing all the time
Right.
and get things done. You got to do things. You got to
Yeah.
hustle a little bit, but you can
Right.
do the hustle with peace and ease. And so I think getting to that point is really good. Challenging. Gosh, there's so many things that are still challenging. Where do I begin? Um, yeah, I think it's still hard for me, I'm not the one who's dying to be on stage. It's definitely not, I'm still trying to find someone who can coach me as me. I try to flip that a lot. Because I'm just, I think we're all trained to help other people better than we are ourselves. Like
Mm,
since we're kids, as we need to, because otherwise
yeah.
kids will be monsters.
That's
If we're
true.
like, go help, go focus on you. No, we help someone else. So flipping that as an adult and saying, no, I actually need to put myself first.
Yeah.
I need to, do self-care and all that kind of stuff. Be self-aware. Let's say being on that stage, if that's difficult for you, conveying a message eloquently so it's heard and it resonates. Sometimes we have to still educate ourselves on how to do that, how
Yeah.
to build a following, how to get paid for it, and how to get from stage one to stage two, stage three to scale and literally inspire millions.
Yeah.
It is a challenging journey. Most people do not make it. I'm just gonna be honest. Like most people don't make it at all.
That's true.
But more than ever, it is possible
Hmm.
because people are sharing their knowledge. There is a lot of support. And I think there's a lot of support just for the whole system democratizing and
Hmm.
being more fair. So
Wow. That's absolutely wonderful. So my final question for you is the unasked question. And by that I mean when we booked this opportunity to have this conversation, you said in your mind, I know Jerry's going to ask me this question. And I haven't. For whatever reason, I haven't asked that question. And you thought I should. So can you answer the unasked question?
I'm confused. What's the unasked question?
You thought
What is it?
perhaps I was going to ask you something, and for some reason, I haven't asked it, and that was the one thing
Oh,
you wanted.
okay. So I'm creating a question or an answer or something
Yeah,
to say.
you're creating the answer because you thought I was going to ask a particular question, and for some reason I
Oh,
didn't.
okay. Sorry, I totally
Quite all right.
it's a long day on the set already today.
I
So,
understand.
um, yeah, well, I think Jerry, what you're doing is amazing. Bringing
Thank
together
you.
incredible people that have these dreams, continue to do that. Um, yeah, I kind of just say the same thing. Like for each person who's listening here, like really believe in yourself. Know you're just as good as anyone else out there who's making an impact and making the money already. For sure. Everybody, anywhere. That's probably the biggest lesson I've learned. No matter where you're from, no matter what you look like, it does not matter what you look like. It does not
Yeah.
matter where you're raised or who you're raised with. We're all equal,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But, get the right strategies, get the right support, and just know that I'm a bit of an idealist, maybe. I do believe you can achieve anything you want, but also like what we want, the rewards along the way might come in different forms.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you won't be in front of like millions and millions every night on stage, but you're gonna overcome some childhood trauma that you realize was holding you back. Like, that's
Wow.
such a huge success. Or, you know, rebuild a relationship with your family in some way, or you might find other opportunities that aren't on a stage, helping other groups. There's just so many different ways that this whole journey can be so rewarding. So be open to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd still say just go for it. Go for
Yeah.
whatever you do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now you have a quote on your website that says the biggest influencers systematically create their influence and wealth. It doesn't happen on accident. And I found that to be very inspiring because it keeps us as entre musicians intentional. Is there anything you want to add to your own quote?
Yeah, I mean, I have realized that there kind of is a set system or framework to become famous. It's a lifelong journey, but building a foundation and then step one, step two, step three, etc. But so I'd say learn that system, learn the right frameworks. No one needs to be reinventing the wheel. But then after that, you also have to break the rules.
Yeah.
Those that are successful know the right path, and then they're like, actually, I'm going to change it, or I'm going to do something totally different, something that's newsworthy, or just, use your own creativity and mindset to do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, you don't need to be starting from scratch and like just throwing spaghetti at walls. So sometimes that has worked for people, but it takes years and years and years longer for them. So don't do that. None of us are getting younger, right? So
Right.
let's use our time wisely.
Especially me. So,
I'm with you on that for sure. So
well, I
yeah,
certainly thank you. I really do. I thank you for the time that you've given us today. And I hope that it won't be our last conversation here on the Entre Musician. And you have so much wisdom to offer. I'm grateful that you shared it with us today. And I'm looking forward to talking to you soon.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And just congratulations on everything that you're doing. It sounds like you have a wonderful community. And so I appreciate this opportunity to chat with all of you. And I hope to stay in touch with you and everyone for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I told you this was going to be a great conversation. We're grateful to Karin Whang for giving us her time. I want you to go to her website, KarinWhang.com, okay? And I want you to check out Inspire Millions and Purposely famous. Just Google it, look it up. We'll have the information for you in the show notes as well. And that's going to do it for this episode of The Entre Musician. As I always say, my name is Jerry B., right? You know that. I am the Entre Musician, but here's what's most important. So are you. Let's go out there and get it. I'll see you again next time. God bless.